Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of James Bond Bitcoin Live. And today I have a guest across the pond. Please introduce yourself, Matt.
What's up, guys? Matt Sherriff from Manchester, England. Do you want me to say a little bit about myself, or is that good?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Say a little bit more about yourself too.
Okay. Been involved in online business for around 4 years. Started off just trying to make some extra money on the side when I was in college. So getting into digital marketing, leads, traffic sales, all that good stuff. Did a couple different ventures here and there, some successful, some not. And then 2 years ago is when I really got into Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, researching blockchain technology, and got super invested and super involved in the industry. And here I am now, doing different things inside the industry, really utilizing different points of it, from mining to trading and all that good stuff. So it's been an interesting ride. I'm very happy that I found this kind of niche, and that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years. So yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. So, what are some of the things that you're involved in now? Because I've been watching you off and on, and I remember when you started your channel, you kind of did a educational video where you talk about Bitcoin and different things and how it works. What are you doing now? I understand you're involved with a program right now.
Yeah, so I say two years ago, it was my first introduction to this. I got involved with an altcoin that was just launching, and got involved with that very, very early. That took off. Do you mind if I say the name?
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. This is open discussion here.
Okay, cool. So that was Capricorn, which launched 2 years ago, two summers ago. So I did quite well with that, as I was adopted it very, very early. So I'm still kind of with that. But from there, I started to diversify my portfolio. So I do a lot of manual trading on different exchanges, utilizing certain price points to make profits there. So I'm still doing that. I've been doing that for around like 9 months now, going pretty well. But I'm not bad at it, but it's not really a big interest of mine, as I don't like looking at the market for hours and hours and analyzing and all that stuff. So doing decent there. Like you mentioned, I do have a passion for making videos, creating content, teaching people about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, trying to poise as an influencer that way. It's been going quite well. And then from there is when I got involved a couple of months ago with a company that was originally in the Forex arena, still has that product going over there, and then came into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, started generating a percentage on capital for their members through their strategies. So I've been doing that for a couple months, helping people understand Bitcoin, understanding cryptocurrency, and kind of what they want to do with it, whether they just want to buy and hold, whether they want to create an active income, buy and trade on the markets, or if they want, somebody else to kind of utilize their money and make it work for them. So that's what I'm currently doing. I do mine as well. I'm with a project called Avalon Life. I'm not sure if you've heard it, but it's basically a mining rig out in Costa Rica. One of my friends has actually been to the rig out there, met the owners and the people that maintain it, if you want. That's pretty cool. It's a green project using.
Is that like a cloud mining service?
Yeah, but all of their mining rigs are utilize solar energy, because Costa Rica is one of the most perfect climates for that. So that's very interesting what they're doing. Kind of their Green Earth project is what they call it. So I quite like that, but I'm not super involved with mining because it is quite a long time of return of investment, even though it's pretty safe. But I'm 24, so I'm not looking to be too safe, be quite aggressive in what I'm doing currently. So yeah, that's currently what I've been up to past couple of years and what I have going on right now.
Okay. Now the mining part is called Avalon Life. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. And they're supposedly green, as in they use solar power. What do they use? GPU mining? Do you know what type of miners they use? It can't be ASIC.
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not.
because
Yeah, I didn't plow too much money into it. I'm not too sure, but I could find out.
all right, no problem. I don't know about that one. I suspect that might be just a marketing ploy because solar power, they would need like very, very large field of solar panels, which also costs a lot of money. I
Hmm.
would even argue they would put more money or just as much money into creating a solar farm as much as they created a mining farm, to just absorb a little bit of that power. And plus, what do they do at night? Because these machines run 24/7. So I think it's a marketing ploy to get people to feel good about themselves, because what I've noticed, and maybe it's different in the UK, but in the US there was a sense of like climate change
Yeah.
urgency, where we have to go solar, we have to go wind, no nuclear. And if I took all the energy that solar, wind, tidal waves, whatever, hydropower, if I took all the renewable energy, it only represents like 1 to 3%, 3% at most of the electricity that's being created in the United States. So
Mm.
so it's hard for me to believe that Avalon can offer 100% solar, because it's not very efficient compared to yeah, what they call a coal power plant or nuclear, or what's the other one? The natural gas power plant.
Yeah.
And plus that you could run those 24/7. And in fact, most here in the U.S., 20% of the energy comes from nuclear, whether people like to admit it or not. And that's usually the baseline. From there, it's coal, and then natural gas, or maybe it's natural gas and coal. It's kind of either or. They kind of 50/50 on that. And then at the very top, you're looking at 1 to 3% being renewable energy. And usually those renewable energy is literally in the middle of nowhere, like maybe in the desert or where it's very windy. Usually they just hook up into the grid, and maybe they'll go to a local power. But other than that, they never reach the city. They never reach where the power is really needed, because by the time you send the power down that way, it really dissipates. So I'm a little suspect on that Avalon. What's it called? Avalon Life.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I was looking at Genesis. I was looking at a couple other companies. That was about 14 months ago, and then got ended up putting a couple $100 into this. So really, I didn't research too much about it. I hear what you're saying about being 100% solar. Maybe it's not 100%. Maybe it's a certain percentage. I'll get you some info. Um, you can draw your own conclusion.
Okay. Well, how
Yeah,
much have you gotten your money back on that, or are you halfway there, or how much longer do you have to go?
I'm just about to break even.
Okay.
And that's like a
Now,
year. That's like a year down the line. So
and you haven't reinvested or upgraded is it a lifetime contract?
yeah, it's lifetime.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see if they don't cancel. Do they have a policy of canceling contracts? Like if it's unprofitable for them, they can cancel it?
Not in the one I've read. I know like the Genesis contract that I read. It's well, what I can't remember what the term they use, but it's not lifetime. It's what you're saying until it becomes profitable. So they give it a number of weeks, and if it's not profitable, they shut the contract down. This is lifetime, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, like I say, I mean, I hardly ever look at it. It's just one of them things that's working in the background because I spend most of my time on other projects. So
Okay, okay. And how much did you say you put into it?
I think it was $500.
Okay, $500, and then you're getting what, $500 back, or are you getting the amount of Bitcoin you put into it back?
The amount of Bitcoin I put into it.
Okay, okay, that's good. At least you can get your Bitcoin back, hopefully, because if you bought it, what, a couple months ago,
Yeah,
yeah, you would have been better off if you just bought more Bitcoin because the price has gone up quite a bit, right?
absolutely. That's why I'm happy I only put a very small amount in.
I mean, do you think these cloud mining services do you think they're really worth it?
Absolutely not. I tell people, if people are saying, where should I put my money, or what should I do with it? I say, well, if you don't want to do anything with it, then just buy and hold, because that might be much better than putting it into mining. If you look year on year out, Bitcoin's doubled at least every year. So you'll probably be pretty fine if you just put it into Bitcoin and hold. And then obviously with this passive kind of program, utilizing somebody else's strategies, there's always risk when you're giving up your Bitcoin, just like if you're not in control of your money. But at the same time, it could be a nice way to grow it and not do anything. But I feel like a lot of people don't want to put the time in to learn how to trade or how to do something to actively grow their money. They just want something to do it for them. You know what I mean?
Right, right. There's that allure, but one more thing on cloud mining, there's some risk involved, and I'll just mention two of them. One, especially with these lifetime contracts. The first one is there's the assumption you're going to live forever, which is totally false. The second is the assumption that the company will be in business forever, which is also totally false. So those are the two major risks that I think people don't think about when they do these supposed lifetime contracts on cloud mining. I mean, people literally think they're going to live forever, so lifetime means forever. And some of these contracts are not lifetime at all, as you said with Genesis Mining. They will cancel your contract if they find it unprofitable on their end. And then
Yeah.
even if they are profitable, anything could happen, because I don't know if you heard about Genesis Mining. They stopped making payouts because supposedly they had their wallet hacked since last Friday.
Really, I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
That's pretty big time.
and so even if they are profitable, something could happen. Like, let's say there's like Greenland. Is it Greenland or Iceland? No, it's Iceland. Let's
Awesome.
Yeah, let's say Iceland just sinks into the ocean for some reason, right? You never know.
Catastrophic
Or
situations.
yeah, or you know what? They're mining too much and they're causing global warming, and it's causing the sea to rise and they go underwater, literally. Yeah. Or they just run out of money, go underwater that way.
They've done
But
that before.
but we can't. It's foolish to think that these companies will be in business forever, because if you look in history, all companies have failed. They've risen and they failed. Maybe they'll start as another entity, but they all failed, and that's a fact if you look at history. So there's another thing that I think people don't realize. But if you make your money, then good for you. Hopefully you'll get your money back, and it'll be interesting to see your contract, how long it keeps going after it's paid you back in full, and hopefully you'll make a video on that and keep us up to date.
Yeah, I think if I had more money into it, my mind and research time would be more invested in it. But yeah, like I said, it's just a small amount. But that's a good point too. And just to add, like with the mining, obviously what I said before, it's a longer time return on investment. And I really think if you are mining, one, you really need to put thousands and thousands in to get a decent hash rate and get some discount to make it a little bit more profitable for you. And I think with this industry, with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, blockchain, the way it's moving, it's gonna adapt itself, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, the space could look different because of the amount of innovation and how new it is. So I think that's kind of a good point that you bring up in terms of there is still a risk factor with how things change, and especially in this industry, can be very quickly. So I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's even people from 2013, since I started, people have built their business model on how things were back then. There
Mhm.
was not very high fees or very low fees with Bitcoin, and so a lot of people built their business model with merchant processing, with like shapeshift as well, shape shifting and all that, from one altcoin to another altcoin. Now, if you try to do some of those things are costing those companies money just in transfer fees, and
Yeah,
so it's led to a lot of debate on scaling, and the Lightning Network with segregated witness coming up. What are your thoughts and feelings on that subject? That's the scaling, the supposed scaling debate. Have you been up to date on that?
yeah. Been following it quite heavily. Obviously, when I saw some news last week, I was like, "Oh, cool." BIP 91 is probably going to be implemented. I saw it had over 90% consensus or whatever it was. So it was likely that it was going to activate, and hoorah, we're going to soft fork. And then obviously this weekend, different developments, different news coming around Bitcoin Cash, BCC, um, the chances of a hard fork. So I feel like it's really impossible to really know, what the miners are really thinking until August 4th, until it actually happens, because news outlets or whatever it is don't truly have their finger on the pulse. So I think August 1st will be interesting, but over the last 5 days, I was like, last week I would say a soft fork is about 80% chance of happening. Now I think a hard fork is potentially on the table, and we'll just have to take it as it comes. But maybe a question for you too is, what do you think? What do you think about Bitcoin Cash, BCC, and the people that are trying to implement it? Do you think they're really trying to better Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, make Bitcoin, the network, better, or do you think they're more thinking about their own pockets?
Well, I think they're thinking more about their own pockets. So the two, I suspect there's two entities involved mainly, and it's Bitmain, since they're the one
Yeah.
instigating this, and there's suspicions that Bitmain also runs via BTC, and via BTC has also they're a mining pool, obviously in China, and they also started an exchange which Jihan Wu invested money into that exchange. Jihan Wu is I believe the CEO of Bitmain, that manufactures all the ant miners, all the mining rigs. And so it looks like this has been in the works for a while, because via BTC exchange has been funded and on its way up and running for a couple months, ever since the first threat of a hard fork. And so this hard fork ABC seems to be instigated by him, Jian Wu. And then
Mm.
Roger Ver also has jumped on board with this, and it's kind of known that Jian Wu and Roger Ver are basically in bed together in committing this either 2 megabyte hard fork or this ABC hard fork. And again, their business model is dependent on keeping things the way they are right now. and because of segregated witness and all the benefits of segregated witness and the Lightning Network, that would destroy their business model, literally. And
And sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, no problem. And as far as how it destroys their business, I think it takes the segregated witness takes away the advantage of their ASIC boost, and also it may leave a door open for other competitors to start manufacturing chips, because right now Bitmain has a huge monopoly,
Yeah,
and it may be in the future a third someone could come in and start cutting into their profits if it's kept at 1 megabyte, because they would have they would it would be evening, it levels out the playing field as far as finding new blocks when you start mining. And so uh, that would take away his advantage on that, and that's why they want to increase to 2 megabytes, because since all the mining and hashing power is in China, and China has a firewall around it, by the time they find a block, they can move on to the next block, and the rest of the world would be behind because of that, because of the lag time it takes for the new block to be
yeah,
broadcasted to the rest of the world. So I think that's why they want to push to a 2 megabyte, or try to keep it the same with the ABC. Try to fork off. They're just forking off. I wouldn't say they're hard forking. They're just creating an altcoin in parallel with Bitcoin.
that's
But
what I've been trying to say too.
yeah, but the nice thing is I might get some free Bitcoin out of this, because depending, if I can do this right, I don't. I'm kind of hesitant in splitting my coins, or giving my coins to via BTC to split for me, because I don't know what they'll do. They may take off with my Bitcoin and just hand me over BCC coins, and I'll never see my Bitcoin again, right?
I
they wanna cannibalize the Bitcoin market and then
for
use
sure.
their coins, right?
I think there's a high likelihood of that because if you're, looking at the news updates that via BTC were bringing out, they're obviously willing to do a one-to-one ratio of BTC to BCC. But for me, if people are looking at that, how much percentage of Bitcoiners are gonna be willing to, really see the future of BCC that's what trading over just over $400 right now, and what's Bitcoin at today? I think over 2,800. So, that's super optimistic for, an exchange to be willing to do that. I'm just not sure like how many people are going to go for that, and if they're going to, like you say, push that themselves and take the Bitcoin, like say if you have it with them, and give you BCC for it. So that's really interesting to me too.
Yeah, they wanna. If you do it now, if you send them the Bitcoin, if you send via BTC Bitcoin, they're going to freeze your Bitcoin for you until they do the hard fork, and so that's scary. Like we just saw what happened to BTCE. Did you hear what happened to BTCE? They're gone now. Their
Is
price is
that
still at 2,500.
Was that the BTCE frozen thing, or was that something different?
No, that's BTCE was a Russian owned or Russian exchange that nobody knew. Well, the owner was arrested for money laundering, and it's an exchange. Their site has been down,
Hmm.
and supposedly they're going to come back after maintenance. I doubt it. And their cold storage wallet of bitcoins have been moving around, and it looks like they're exiting, because they're probably afraid they're going to get their money seized, and so they're all scrambling to find an exit here. I mean, that could happen at any time with via BTC as well. No, nothing's safe for sure when you hand over your Bitcoin to a third party.
For
So
sure.
you may never get your Bitcoin back. So that's why I'm a little hesitant. I'm going to try to find a wallet after they split, and I'm going to safely do it, because ideally, if you own the private keys, like I use paper wallets myself. All I do is I'll find a wallet that will offer BCC, and I'll scan the my private key, and then I should be able to send my I should be able to split my coin from there into the wallet that is BCC compatible, and then my bitcoins will remain on that wallet. The BCC will be transferred to the wallet that I transferred it to, and then I'll try to find an exchange. I think Bitphoenix, Kraken mentioned they'll do BCC. All I'm going to do is really dump it, because if you look at the price, I mean, we know which one's the more valuable token. It's the Bitcoin, and not
Yeah.
the BCC. And I think
And
BCC is being pumped just to get miners to come over.
for sure, for sure. And I think like, I don't know, whoever's watching this video, maybe you're seasoned, in the crypto space, maybe you're completely new. I know Mr. James Bond over here, he's been in the industry for longer than I have. But looking bigger picture, you know, since the injection of Bitcoin into the economy as a new tool to move value, I think is obviously gained so much traction because it's completely decentralized. There's not a central point of authority. Anyone with a smartphone, anyone with an internet connection can be part of the Bitcoin community. And obviously the verification process of miners has always been very distributed. And like you're saying, they want the 2 megabyte upgrade, or with BCC, they want the 8 megabyte upgrade, which brings in more centralization to the verification process. So basically they can take over. And for me, and even yourself, obviously I love profiting from the crypto space. It's very lucrative if you know what you're doing. But I think when I'm looking at it and I want to look at the good of Bitcoin, I want to look at the good of cryptocurrency and the industry going forward for years and years and years, I don't see this. I don't see BCC as a good, forking away from Bitcoin, trying to think about their own pockets, trying to think about how can we gain more power over the network, and not necessarily thinking about the broader picture. For me, I don't like that, because I like what cryptocurrency stands for. I like that it challenges, our standard banking, our standard way to move exchange. And I don't think this type of fork and this type of mindset and initiative aids cryptocurrency and the industry in a positive way. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
And you're speaking as a user, right? And
For
I would
sure.
Okay, and I would say you're probably like very most common other users. I haven't met a hardcore BCC token fan yet, and so I'm wondering this is all being manipulated. But let's move on to the other benefits of SegWit, which is it allows the Lightning Network to operate much more smoothly, and I think that is going to kill a lot of businesses that are exchanges, and specifically like Shapeshift. One of the things that it does, and to some degree, like Coinbase, although Coinbase can be a part of it, and BitPay, because have you done any research into the Lightning Network?
A little bit, but only really like the podcast that I listened to, mentioning it and it being built on top and being able to obviously speed up and verify transactions. But maybe you can enlighten me more and the audience.
Okay, I've started to look into it now that it might be a reality that SegWit is going to be implemented, and the Lightning Network is going to be built on top of the blockchain network. And there are some risks. The number one risk is that it's all off chain, and there may be a risk where a possible risk that you could play around with the amount of bitcoins that enter into the Lightning Network, and then what comes out may be different than what went in. So there is that risk. But considering what it will do, it seems to the benefits outweigh the risk. And from what I can tell, it's very interesting. It's like a user-based network, and a lot of people have to get into this network. So you'll have your nodes or your wallets, however you want to do it, and you'll be able to participate in the Lightning Network yourself. And it's done in a way that it's redundant. It's I'll try to explain the best I can. It still uses cryptography in a way, just similar to like it's just like Bitcoin except no mining. And the way money is being moved around is you're using public keys and private keys, or more specifically using your private key to make sure that the other party that you build a channel with um, stays honest. So if they're dishonest in any way, you have a fail-safe to go back on the blockchain, and what it does is it builds a contract, and the contract, it defaults to the most recent contract. So you could, if I built a channel with you, Matt, and you wanted to use my Bitcoin, like I have zero point 0.5 and you have zero point 0.5 in the channel, and you needed one whole Bitcoin to I don't know, spend a night with an escort, let's just say, right? And so you don't have one whole Bitcoin, you only have zero point 0.5. Well, because I have a channel with you, what I can do is you can have my Bitcoin and use that if someone else is on the Lightning Network. Let's say your escort also uses the Lightning Network, and now she takes one Bitcoin, and so that could be done instantly. And so that's how that works. But if I send you one Bitcoin and you don't redeem my zero point 0.5 back to me later, let's say you go offline. Well, what happens is since this is all done off chain, I can say, okay, I'm going to close this channel. This channel, when the channel closes, it goes onto the blockchain. But before it does that, the channel goes and looks at the last contract. And if the last contract was not fulfilled, you lose your zero point 0.5 Bitcoin. So unless if you didn't give me zero point 0.5 Bitcoin, right, in the channel that you owed me, you lose your zero point 0.5 Bitcoin that you also had in the channel as well. And that's a penalty for being dishonest.
But what if the point 0.5, your point 0.5 Bitcoin, my point 0.5 Bitcoin made one Bitcoin. I gave it to the escort. Now she has one Bitcoin, but you weren't obviously satisfied. So does the money get taken off her too?
No, the contract was to give her one Bitcoin,
Okay.
and from you, and so your money is basically tied up. So the money that's put into this network is always there.
Mm.
Like let's say the network has 100 Bitcoins, and the Lightning networks will always have 100 Bitcoins as long as nobody leaves. But what prevents people from being a bad actor is the contract itself, the channel, and the last contract you have with someone. You probably have to do some more research into it.
Yeah,
It's difficult for me to explain because I'm just learning it. But
I
when I
feel
see other videos on it, it makes a lot of sense. But there is risk. There is possible risk that more more bitcoins may not really be there than less bitcoins may be there than what went into it. There is that risk. So because it is off chain and the transactions aren't like on a blockchain or anything, they don't really exist after the contract's over. So there's nothing to look back on, you know. But there is redundancy in there, and what it does is it allows you and me, the participants, to also make money as well, because this is a channel like from me to you. That's one channel, but the whole idea is that's why you need a lot of participants, so you could build channels for that connect to other people and other businesses that accept the Lightning Network, and
mm,
you'll be able to do like 4 hops or 6 hops. So that idea that you're 6 degrees of separation. If you know 6 people, the chances are those people know 6 other people, and those people know 6 other people. You could effectively touch anybody in the world by knowing 1 to 6 people. So that's the idea of the Lightning Network. So if it does more than a couple hops, you can actually charge a fee, a small fee, maybe a Satoshi, for liquidity purposes. It goes the other way around. You can actually give money to people. You can give a discount to your service. Let's say you're a merchant and you want people to come to your website. If they use the Lightning Network, you can give them a rebate, so to speak, or a discount for using their site. So that's another way to attract people to your product or service. So it's very interesting.
Would the two questions, one, would people need two separate wallets, one to use the Bitcoin network as it is, and then another to use a Lightning network? And two, because we're building obviously the Lightning network and you can do more with it, so you're kind of opening up different things, does that make it less secure because more things can be done on the network, and obviously talking about contracts law and all that kind of stuff, would it still remain as secure?
On the first question, I don't know. I don't think you do the way it was explained. And from my research, it seems like you just have a wallet, and apparently you can probably also transact on the blockchain. Um, I'm not too sure because it doesn't exist yet.
Mm.
I haven't used any of the Litecoin. I know Litecoin's been experimenting with it. I think Bitfury came out with a wallet that you can use the testnet. So I haven't done any of that yet because I'm not that smart enough. As far as your second question, the risk, I think there is risk. I think the more contracts you put out there, I think there is risk. You
Yeah.
have to put your skin in the game. You have to put your Bitcoins online. So if I build a channel with you, I have to have a certain amount of Bitcoin in that channel with you, and you as well. And so the more channels I build, the more Bitcoins I need for those channels.
Yeah,
So there is risk in that. But
because the way
consider,
I'm like, well, the way you're explaining it, and I'm thinking, it's because like obviously the Ethereum does something different to Bitcoin in terms of smart contract applications, things that can be built on their network because of the foundation and how it's set up. But because Ethereum is more malleable and you can do more things, there's more holes for security, hackers, whatever you want to call it. Um, so as we talk about this and kind of Bitcoin becomes more robust and opening up what it can do, I think simplicity, brings security, and that's why Bitcoin has been so good at what it does for a long, long time. But yeah, adding to it like this, and like you say, creating channels and different things of that nature, surely must bring some more holes to kind of have access to, or whatever it may be. So that's something interesting to think about.
yeah, I think the more you expose yourself, there's possible risk to it. But if you want to make it simple and make it instant, because the whole idea of the Lightning Network was it's you don't want to put all your eggs into the Lightning Network.
Yeah,
You're talking about like maybe at most I'm willing to risk is maybe a point 0.5 on one channel, but you can go lower since the price of Bitcoin's gone up so much. But really, it's for instant transactions and very small micro payments. The concept is you could use it in everyday life, like you want to buy coffee or you want to buy, $2 or $1 items. You can do that instantly. And if I build a channel with you, and you and I know each other, and we perhaps do business with each other very often, it makes sense to have a channel with you, and then we could just go back and forth, and we're going back and forth all this time, but the Bitcoins never really leave the network. That's why you're able to transact so fast. It's off chain. And then at the end of the day, whenever I want to close this channel, I can just close it, and whatever Bitcoins you're supposed to have goes to you, and then whatever Bitcoins I have will go to me on the blockchain. So when you close
yeah,
the channel, that's what happened. It hits the blockchain, and then from there, boom, it's
yeah.
recorded. And
Verifies.
so when it's offline, you can go crazy. You can do that right now with exchanges, local Bitcoins, or Coinbase does that. If you send to another Coinbase user, it just shows up instantly. If you do that with local Bitcoins, you send it to an address um, in local Bitcoins, it shows up instantly. exchanges, Bitphoenix, I think it does that as well. You send to another Bitphoenix account, it just goes instantly. It never hits the blockchain because it's all internal. And the Lightning Network is somewhat similar to that. It's all like in its own world and no mining involved. And basically, it's just uh, contracts, contract after contract, which is basically the channel. And that's how it works. And it uses the concept of cryptography to make sure everyone stays honest. And like I said, if not, the dishonest person gets penalized by redundancy. Uh, the failsafe is that you can close the channel and then broadcast that to the blockchain, and the contract will go to the most recent contract, where if this person was supposed to get this amount of Bitcoin, or you were supposed to receive this amount of Bitcoin, it defaults to the last contract, even if the last person didn't fulfill their contract. So that's what happens. And so and if the person doesn't do it in a certain amount of time, they forfeit their Bitcoin in the contract, is what happens. So
Okay.
so there's some incentives in there.
Hmm. So the same question that you asked me before. What do you think, in your opinion, is going to happen August 1st? Soft fork, hard fork, likelihoods of each.
Well, I definitely think the hard fork is coming, and I mean, Bitmain literally wrote a blog and told everybody we're going to be hard forking. you know, they literally wrote a blog. It looks like they're going through with it, and again, I don't see why not, because it's just another option for them to play out their hand. And if it works, great. They'll have a chain, a parallel chain, in which they control the network. If it doesn't work, they still have SegWit 2x that's coming up after August 1st
Yeah.
to increase it to 2 MB and still have an advantage. So there's like one fight after another fight. I think it'll take at least another year before this thing finally dies, and you know all these other attempts, at least Bitmain's attempt to take over the network or try to keep a mining advantage goes away, and finally we can get segregated witness. But the other thing about Lightning Network that I'm more interested than the whole merchant, you know, people participating into it and doing Lightning transactions and micropayments, is the atomic swaps, the cross-chain atomic swaps, where you set up a node, and again you would have to risk your coins, you know. So Litecoin has SegWit and will have Lightning Network. Hopefully Bitcoin will have Lightning Network as well. You could essentially, I believe the way it works is you could have two nodes that link the two chains together, and you can do atomic swaps. Basically, you can trade your Litecoin for Bitcoin using that node. And so it bridges two blockchains together, and you could become a decentralized exchange. And this is where I think this is going to kill Shapeshift, because that's basically Shapeshift's business model, is you're able to trade different altcoins. So we're already seeing a lot of other coins implement SegWit for the purpose of having Lightning. And
Yeah.
if more people are going to have nodes on their Lightning and then build a bridge to other blockchains, they could essentially just become a decentralized exchange. They could become a Shapeshift themselves, and they could set the spreads. And so it's possible for users to choose which node they want to exchange their coins, and at what rate. And again, it brings power to the user. That's why I really like this concept. Is uh, it it's all about the users. The users benefit the most, not the commercial interests like Coinbase or BitPay or Roger Ver in particular, who's trying to build an empire. You can do it. I can do it. It's just a matter of setting up the nodes. And then if you can do it for free. If you really believe in it, you don't have to charge anything. You could just do it because you believe in the technology. But I would take it. I myself would probably want to take advantage of getting some more coins here and there, either Bitcoin or Litecoin. I'm probably going to do Litecoin, but I would. That's because I'm also risking my coins in doing it, and I'm also providing liquidity into the system.
Yeah, so you've in terms of building the network and the lightning on top of it, do you still think that aids altcoins like Litecoin and that sort of thing, that obviously Bitcoin is wanting to obviously upgrade and become quicker, become more efficient, add this on top of it? Do you think that helps Litecoin, or do you think it makes it kind of more obsolete?
I think that a lot of people out there, they have this mindset of gold and silver, and that's pretty popular throughout the world. And having that mindset, it's hard to change someone's behavior, and then to tell them to change their behavior. It's hard to do that, especially if they're so used to that concept of gold and silver. You know, so I view Bitcoin and Litecoin the same way, for those people who have that mindset of who are into metals, the gold bugs and the silver bugs, and
Hmm.
and and it's really helped Bitcoin with people who hold gold, because it's you're seeing a lot of people who are also gold bugs move into Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and that's, I think, it really drove the price up. And you'll probably see a lot of silver bugs go into Litecoin as well, and it makes sense for them. That's what makes sense with cryptocurrency in their mind, is if you treat it in that way. I think it does help Litecoin, and then you see that in the price, because the price has definitely moved up, and with the Lightning Network on both chains, I think it's gonna continue to move up. It's gonna stay along with, if Bitcoin moves up, Litecoin moves up. If Bitcoin goes down, Litecoin goes down, and that's kind
Yeah.
of been the pattern so far.
Yeah. Also, I think that discussion was good. I kind of want to pick your brain about this too, because I find this really interesting. Because I think, months and years from now, I think more and more money is going to pour into digital assets on the blockchain. And I think more and more governments are going to obviously chase their tails and try to find out how to regulate this, how they can be a part of it, how they can tax it, all that kind of stuff. And we're seeing that with America now, and obviously you're from America, trying to pass different legislation, all that kind of stuff. And even, throughout the years, even I've been involved, certain governments trying to ban it, trying to outlaw it, saying that people shouldn't have it, or whatever it is. If you're in Venezuela, you're getting put in jail, all types of crazy stuff. So moving forward, and in terms of governments and banks and trying to regulate, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, because obviously it is a threat. If it stays decentralized, nobody owns it, nobody can manipulate it. So with the US and obviously New York being financial hubs of the world, which almost all transactions go through, with them not wanting to lose power and kind of legislation going forward, trying to move in a particular way, how do you see that going with America and with the world? And do you think that America might legislate the living crap out of this, that innovation just starts to move out of the states and go elsewhere, so they can thrive, as obviously blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency is on the trend to just keep evolving year in, year out? Where do you see that kind of going?
Well, I do see a trend for more regulation, and that may be good or bad. People who want, or companies or businesses that want to make it their business to make money off the buying and selling, or transmitting cryptocurrencies on behalf of other people, there are already laws in place to regulate those entities. and it's just more clarity on the regulators to state that for these companies. As far as a peer-to-peer, a person-to-person, like you, if I want to transact with you directly, there's already laws in place that allow you and me to do that, and we don't need a license. We don't even need any permission whatsoever. Uh, we can do that right now. So I think there's a confusion that because there's regulation that restricts the individual. It does not. It doesn't hinder the individual at all. It you right now you have the power to do these things. All right, you have the power to transact with anyone you want, whether legally or illegally. As long as you follow the guidelines, you're exempt from these regulations. Because if you're doing it for your own behalf, if you're the one that's benefiting and is benefiting yourself, then yeah, you can send your Bitcoin anywhere all over the world and get paid for it. Or you want to buy stuff if it benefits you. Now, what you buy is a question of whether it's legal or illegal, but the act itself, there's no reason for anyone to stop you. It's not against the law for you to transact directly with another person. So I think people are confusing the two. If you're a commercial entity and you're doing things on behalf of others, yes, you have to be regulated because you're acting as a third party. And the whole point of Bitcoin is not to use a third party. So that's why it doesn't concern me one bit whether companies are regulated or not. Sometimes it's a hassle because when I want to get Bitcoin and I have to go to a third party, like Coinbase or these exchanges, um, it's a hassle. It really is. And sometimes I'm censored in a lot of ways because I may not get my coins, or I'm because I'm at the mercy of somebody else. When I work directly with another person, I'm at the mercy of that person, but at least I have control of what I can do. Like if I have the private keys, I can send Bitcoin or receive Bitcoin, and that's in my control 100%. When I use Coinbase or an exchange, I don't own those private keys. So if I get Bitcoins from a third party, I'm literally at their mercy. That exchange may disappear. And the whole point of Bitcoin is not to use a third party, because if you do, you lose the benefits of having Bitcoin completely. So I think businesses who fall under a third party, like exchanges, um, merchant processors that merchant process for you, like BitPay and Coinbase. Now, um, I guess in recent light of the SEC letter that came out, people who are offering coins will now fall under that regulation as well.
Mm.
That's fine by me. I don't mind at all, because I wouldn't, the coins that I have are in my control, first of all, and they're being used for my benefit. So the regulations don't apply to me at all.
Interesting take.
Well, I know that for a fact. So I've
No,
been doing this
yeah,
for 3 years.
yeah, I feel you.
So let me ask you a question real quick here. You're involved with USI Tech, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, tell us about that, and how it works and what it is. What it is.
So USI Tech basically started off as a trading company. They had private clients and they would trade for them within the Forex market. Years and years ago, you'd need about 100 grand to trade with them. I know a couple of people that were involved early on with the founders. And then 3 years ago, they started to produce a software to autonomously trade the Forex market. So basically, you open a brokerage account, you put in a couple $1,000, you attach the software to the account, and it trades for you autonomously. And then in 2016, they brought a network marketing component to that license and to that software. So that's been running for a while. And then March this year, I believe it was March, they got involved with the crypto industry, brought out a Bitcoin product, which I looked at, talked to the founders, and asked them a bunch of different questions, and then felt pretty comfortable to move forward, put some money with them. So they basically return around 1% a day every working day on your capital. It ranges from 0.75% to 1.25%, so fluctuates between there. The way they generate their profits from that is, one, they use altcoin mining for a certain percentage of their portfolio. Two, they trade Bitcoin against the dollar. So obviously that's very volatile. And then three, they use arbitrage trading across exchanges to generate profits and then return a percentage of that to their members. So I've been involved with that for just over 3 months now. It's going pretty well. Obviously, third parties and putting your money with somebody else is always a little bit more risky. It's more risky than having it in your own control. But basically, it's a way to grow your Bitcoin without doing any of the heavy lifting. And for me, I really did get involved because of the leadership, because of the founders, and because of the couple of people that I know that have been with them for years on the Forex side, and obviously them getting into the crypto arena. A lot of their trust has been built from the Forex. We're still waiting on transparency with the Bitcoin side, which is obviously much more decentralized and private, and some of their contracts, I believe, prevent them from doing that right now. So that's a side of my business that I'm with, and allocate a certain percentage over there to grow, hopefully for years and years to come. So I hope I explained that all right, and that's basically what the company does.
Well, I've heard, and maybe you could explain to me or shed some light that USI Tech is a scam. And I know you did a video on that. So you're involved in it. What makes you think that it's not a scam? Because obviously you're in it now.
Yeah. I mean, firstly, I'd ask people why they would say it's a scam. Um, Whether it's a Ponzi scheme, um, obviously, if people would say that they're using funds from new members to pay old members, etc., etc. Even before the Bitcoin product was out, that I mean, if you go to page one and you type in USI Tech Scam, behind MLM.com will come up. Playersmoney.com will come up. People who do, reviews on a lot of different companies. Before the Bitcoin side of things, I think it's impossible to say it was a scam, because I've had an auto trader in Forex for over a year now with a private license, and somebody that I know well, that I've had a autonomous software working for me on the Forex market, not in USI Tech, something else. But even before the Forex side, people would say it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme. But I'm familiar with Forex. I'm familiar with the software which trades. So in terms of that, you can go on the FX Blue Book, which is basically a website which tracks certain accounts on the Forex market. You can see percentages, you can see profits returned, you can see floating capital, all that kind of stuff, which basically lets you know the health of the accounts, whether they're making money or whether they're losing money. So in terms of that, before the Bitcoin product, they had a legit license, they had a legit software that was trading for people. if people wanted to just utilize that software and put it on their brokerage account, they could do that if they wanted to. If people wanted to utilize both, so they could buy the software, have it trade for them, and also share the opportunity, basically be a salesman, be an affiliate, whatever you want to call it, and gain commissions from sharing the opportunity with other people and basically selling the license like you would sell anything else, then you could do that also. And then I think from a scam purpose, I think the Bitcoin product has really blown up for them and has seen massive growth for the company in terms of people coming on board and the amount of Bitcoin packages that have been bought. So with that, always attention comes, and bloggers and video people start to take to their keyboards and cameras, some good, some bad. So a lot of the trust that's been built around the Bitcoin side is from the flagship product of the software that they've been utilizing for years. And I know that people have been utilizing it for years. A couple of people that I'm close to have been involved with it for quite a while. So a lot of the trust is being built on that flagship product. And obviously the Bitcoin side and the way they're generating profits is not as transparent, not as near transparent, because the FX Blue Book is as transparent as you can get. So I think in terms of scam, people would say because they can't see proof of trading within the Bitcoin side, they wouldn't join it, which is fair enough, because at the end of the day, I get it. You can't fully see, what's going on, but a lot of my trust, and the fact that this company's been in operation for years, and people that I know have been with them for years and withdrawing money from their Forex account, builds that kind of trust. But I would always say, go in with not what you can lose, but don't sell your house and put everything into it.
Okay. I did kind of take a look quickly at USI Tech from watching your video. It seems to it's one of your typical Bitcoin schemes that I've always see. They offer returns, like you give them your Bitcoin, and they do all the work for you, right? It's what's the return, like 1% a month, or 1% a day, supposedly, on trading. So they
Yeah.
take your Bitcoin and they turn it to cash. They do some Forex trading. They also trade your Bitcoin as well. And is there also a referral program or an affiliate program?
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds, and that's probably why a lot of people probably think it's a scam, because all the previous other schemes that have come by using Bitcoin offer the same thing. They'll take your Bitcoin, we'll trade it for you, and there's also an affiliate link that you can join, and you'll get what do you get for that affiliate link? Do you get money? You get money on how much they put in, down to two levels down.
Yeah.
2 levels down. So it's not infinite. Okay, I'll give it that much. So there may be a legitimate. It's not quite a pyramid scheme. It's a limited pyramid scheme. But how much have you put into it, and how much have you gotten back out of it?
So I put in 10 packages, which is around 500 euros. I can't remember 3 months ago how much that would have been. But basically, I've been paid every day for 65 days now, maybe a little bit more. So every working day, for 5 days. And I've returned 66% on the first package that I bought. So basically the packages run for around 140 days. So you get 140% back on the capital that you put in at first. So I'd have to log into my back office to see amounts and percentages. But yeah, basically been paid every day since then. And I do agree with you. There is such a bad rap, and rightly so, around this type of thing, because there are crazy amounts of companies companies, in quotation marks, popping up saying, "Yep, give me your Bitcoin. I'll give you, 5% a week, 4% a day." All these crazy stuff that's burnt people and have tanked. So rightly so that the industry should really get a bad rap, and people are super skeptical about it. But I don't feel like any other company is building the way that they're building, in terms of the owners and the founders are very open on webinars, answering questions. They're at events. I know they just did a tour of the UK. They were in Manchester. I would have gone, but I was in the US at the time. Did an event in London, and they're open to answer questions to members, all that kind of stuff. So they're very, at the front, willing to put their face, put their reputation on the line, which is good to see. So I don't really see any other company building like they're building. And I don't really see any other company that has the track record in the trading arena like they do, which obviously gives an element of trust too.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but then that goes to my other question. This question here is, if they're doing so wonderful, if they're able to do so great, why can't they use their own Bitcoin? I mean, because they could literally start with like $1 worth of Bitcoin and build it to $1 million. Why do they need your Bitcoin and then share the money with you? Because if they have a formula that works, right, and you could, and the concept is, well, you could put in $100 and turn $100 into $1 million. Why don't they just do that? Why do they need your money to do that, and why would they share it with you?
I agree. I mean, the only answer to that is they must make more money having our money than they would just getting a loan from the bank. Because I know, even utilizing the software that I have, that I can do arbitrage with and trade with, the arbitrage is the quickest way to make quick money every day because of the price differences around different exchanges of the world. So I know for myself that, say I have $20,000 and I'm a person that can't really get a loan or anything, but if I had other people's money too on top of mine, I could make way more money and then pay them a certain percentage back and just grow it that way. So I'd say the only real answers to that is they must be making more money for themselves, with more funds, or it
But
isn't.
Matt, isn't that that seems mathematically impossible to do? I mean, are they skimming off the top and making more money off of your money? I mean, there's only so much money that goes in and then can be made, and then also the 1% a day, or getting for 5 days, 5 business days, right, out of the week. So exclude the weekends, but you're getting paid out every day, and as long as you're in the program, you'll continually get paid out every day. It just, the math, I don't know, unless there's some math that they're using that is new, that recently came out. I'm not a mathematician by any means, but I can add 1 + 1 and get 2. Although there's a lot of people in this space that think 1 + 1 = 11, for some reason. It just doesn't seem to add up. So if you consider the referral program, and then you consider your payouts that you get, which I think if you get 1% a day on your payouts, that on 5 days, that may equal up to like 30 to 40%. And on top of that, they're making money off of your money. I mean, that seems very high, and also unsustainable, because if they were that good, I mean, they would not need your money. They could literally just pull $1 out of their pants, follow their own program, and just build that wealth for themselves. And on top of that, I think they would be making more money if they didn't share it with anybody. Do you see what I'm saying? So for them to make money off of your money and also share it with you, there's got to be. Don't you think there's something else going on, or this is not sustainable in any way?
Not really, because I think if somebody, if so, say I put $50 in, they take whatever, they give a percentage to obviously me. If I put someone in and then the other person, and now they have $35 to work with, and from that $50, they're saying they're going to give you 40% on top of it. So now they need to give you $70 back. But with $35, they have what, 6 months, if it's 140 days ish in working days, to generate from $35 to $70. I know within the crypto space that I could do that on scale, and I'm far from an expert and an average trader. So if they have arbitrage plus different methods that they're utilizing, I don't feel like that's totally out of whack to achieve in this space, with how much profit you can make if you know what you're doing.
Okay, okay, fair enough. It's just that this program is awfully familiar, awfully very similar to the many other programs that have come, taken people's bitcoins, and then eventually failed or disappeared, or eventually when the gig is up, they exit scam. So that's what I'm wondering, and I see it too much, and if it's and the common sense would just tell me by looking at it that this doesn't make sense or it's unsustainable, because again, like if I ran a business like that, I wouldn't tell anybody. I wouldn't give anybody the opportunity to do that, because then they would try to do it themselves, and that would be competition from me. So why would I let other people in on it? I would just keep this a secret, and become, make money to infinity, and never work in my life ever again. So it's kind of weird for someone else to say, hey, I have this great idea, give me your Bitcoin or give me your money, and I'll make you money. If you're that good, why can't you use your own money and become and never work in your entire life? So I'm a little skeptical about USI tech. I'll be honest with you, but it's your money, and if you feel that you can make some money on it, by all means, go ahead. I hope you can keep us up to date in your videos on that, and see how things work out. And I wish you the best of luck. Have you broken even? Have you gotten your money back?
Yeah, but I've broken even, now on the capital, but obviously commission wise, I've made money. But on the capital, yeah, I've broken even, and now what I've put in will be profit. But I'm compounding for a certain amount of time, and then I'll start to siphon some off. But yeah, I agree. I'm super sympathetic and empathetic to, empathetic's a better word, to the people that are like skeptical. I was skeptical, and I'm not saying that you can never say with this like completely 100%. If they like, for you, I think it's obviously the Bitcoin side of things, because for me, I don't think you can say the Forex side, is, you can be skeptical about it because it's transparent, it's open, it's there, and it is verified. Obviously, more of the skepticism now is coming from the Bitcoin side, which obviously loads of programs have popped up, like we've been saying, and burn. So yeah, I'm empathetic to that. I'll keep you updated. Hopefully, years from now, I can be like, dude, I told you so, man. But we shall see.
Oh, all right. So you have not cashed out anything. You've compounded what you've put in. Is that correct? And you have yet to cash out.
I've withdrawn. I've withdrawn like a certain amount of Bitcoin, but I haven't like cashed out in terms of I'm growing it more than taking out.
Okay. Okay. So you've been compounding into it, kind of trying to exponentially grow your return, but you've taken some out. At least you got something out of it, which isn't too bad. But you still haven't gotten or actually realized your full return on the principal.
Like as in the seed money that I've put in, I've brought that out.
Okay, excellent. All right. So the rest is just in there compounding, doing its thing. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens once you start siphoning that off, because if it's what I think it is, very much like a maybe perhaps a combination Ponzi pyramid. Who knows? Maybe by then a lot more people I will join to support the program, and then you could take as much as you want out. But you know, how many referrals have you gotten out of it?
Um, I've been networking for a while, so my team, not directs, but more to like 250. So my team is pretty big inside it, and the directs is like 38, 40.
All right. And I'm assuming what brought you in was the passive income that you'll receive. Like once you reach a certain point, you don't really have to do anything. You got your money back out of it, and then you'll be just receiving income from it as long as your team keeps building and building beneath them and building beneath them. Is that what drew you in?
I mean, yeah, kind of. Obviously, having money somewhere. I mean, like I had the Forex thing going like last year and still do right now. It's obviously nice to have something working when you're not working. So that was always a factor. But what really brought me in was the fact that I knew a couple of people that had been with them for years and trusted them, and they'd been generating money
Are
for a
they
good
rich?
time.
Are,
Huh?
are they rich? Are they doing very well?
They're not doing bad. I mean, I don't know their bank balances, but by the way they're going about things, I think they're doing all right. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Uh, unless the audience members have any questions for Matt, I know I should ask this earlier, but I think this pretty much concludes the conversation. Unless Matt has any more questions for me, um, do you or you don't? We'll probably wrap this up really soon.
No, I think I'm good. I think I asked you what I wanted to ask, and yeah, thank you for answering the questions, and thanks for the value, man.
Okay, no problem. And you know what? While you were talking, I want to clarify one thing. When I talked about the Lightning Network, when I said you have zero point 0.5 and I have zero point 0.5, you can send zero point 0.1 Bitcoin to someone else. I misspoke. You can only send what you have in your channel. And so if you have zero point 0.5 and I have zero point 0.5, the most you can send is what you have. So if you have zero point 0.5 and you're trying to send to somebody that you don't have a channel with, but I have a channel with. So let's say let's say I'm a pimp, right? And I have a channel. You made a channel with me for whatever reason, and I have a channel with the escort, right? Well, if you only have zero point 0.5 in your channel, that's all you can send, but you don't have a channel with the escort, but I do. So what would happen is that it's a pull system instead of a push system, if that makes sense. So the Lightning Network is a pull system. So you can make a request based upon how much money or how much Bitcoin you have in your channel, and it pulls from anybody else that finally gets to your final destination. So I misspoke about that. I want to make that clear. So hopefully that clears a lot of things up. I should probably, you can't edit it, but hopefully that clears up a little stuff. So you can't add up other people's Bitcoin in the channel and then pull it out. So maybe that
That makes
clarifies
more
a lot of
sense.
stuff.
That's why I asked you about the question of, well, if we both sent her this and now she has this one Bitcoin, can we still pull that back? So you explaining it like you just have makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I kind of realized that as I was talking to you, but hopefully people stayed long enough to hear this ending part. So this concludes this episode. So Matt Sherriff, your last name is Sherriff?
Sherriff, yeah.
Okay. Please tell people where they could find out more about you.
You can go to my YouTube channel, Matt Sherriff. Just type in Matt Sherriff YouTube, because I change my channel name all the time. Find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Matt Sherriff Inc. #1. And then I have a blog, mattsheriffinc.com. and you can find me there too. So thank you everyone for watching. Appreciate your time and listening to me and the famous James Bond over here.
And oh, we got one question. I guess somebody in the audience wants to know where you are. Maybe they want to hook up with you.
Cheeky, cheeky. Currently, I'm in Manchester, England, but if you are here, sorry, I will be flying to Chicago in about 2 weeks, and then I'll be there for a while. So I'm not giving you my exact address because you might be cool, but you might be a weirdo. So
No, no, no problem. Excellent, Matt. Give me all those links, and I'll put them in the notes section. And your YouTube channel is in the notes section. So if anybody wants to check out your channel, they can do that. So this concludes this episode. And until next time, everyone, stay tuned and bye bye.